The first major domino in Women's March Madness 2023 has officially fallen, with the number 1 seed Stanford Cardinal bowing out in the second round to the number 8 seed Ole Miss. In an unbelievable upset, the Rebels took their opportunity with full grasp and sent the Cardinal packing early, breaking Stanford's 14-year consecutive streak of Sweet 16 appearances. So, what went wrong for Stanford in this game? And how did Ole Miss cause this upset? I'll be breaking it all down in today's video. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe. For more women's basketball content like this, I'm bringing you all the analysis all March long, so be sure to subscribe and like the video to see more videos like this. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about Stanford's early collapse and Ole Miss's brilliant upset. Firstly, I do want to start with the positives. So let's talk about Ole Miss and what they did to shut down Stanford's powerhouse offense. Ole Miss definitely shouldn't have been considered as a major underdog in this game, even if they weren't the odds-on favorite, because the Rebels very nearly beat South Carolina earlier this season. They've been great all year in the SEC, and perhaps were underseeded in this tournament, as again, they've been really good all year. However, on paper, the matchup was definitely in Stanford's favor, as with their length and size, there was a serious threat posed to Ole Miss's offense. And to be fair to Stanford, they did shut down the interior very well, with the Rebels just shooting 26% inside the arc, 14 for 53 shooting overall from 2-point range. That is dreadful. However, Ole Miss's guards stepped up on the perimeter, where Stanford allowed them to play a bit more open, with the Rebels shooting 45% from downtown this game, which helped them get over the line in the end. Ayanna Thompson in particular lit it up from range, nailing 3 3-pointers tonight. As the final score of 54-49 probably indicated though, this game was not great offensively for either side, and defense was instrumental to securing the win. So, how did Ole Miss shut down the potent Stanford offense and in the end hold them to under 50 points? In my opinion, it came down just to the Rebels' gritty play style on the defensive end. They're made up of a lot of hard workers and are overall a great defensive unit together, with brilliant communication led by a great coaching staff. The tight physical defense on Haley Jones, for example, minimized her impact and forced her into several costly turnovers down the stretch, and ultimately limited the duo of Brink as much as possible. It was a smart game plan, as it really flustered Haley Jones early and she never really got in a rhythm, which ultimately majorly impacted Stanford in this game. Take a look at this play here, for example. The tight defense on Jones means she can't get a great seal in the post, so Brink has to take it to the rack. As a result, Ole Miss can close her off in the paint, double on the contest, and force a bad shot, which Brink clanks. It's great communication and team defense that really shut down Stanford tonight. The physical defense clearly bothered Haley Jones and many other Stanford players, causing them to make some very uncharacteristic turnovers or bad shots, like you can see in these clips here. They just couldn't handle the grit and determination of the Rebels, to put it blatantly. Into a 21 turnover game tonight, which is sensational, especially considering Stanford averaged just 11 per game throughout this season. Doing it in March Madness is even better. Ole Miss may be underdogs again in the next game, but you can't count them out. The hustle within this team will keep them in the fight in every game, so it's going to be interesting to see how deep of a run they can go on. While this is a terrible loss for Stanford and will sting for quite some time, there is one positive I saw from it for them, and that was the play of Cameron Brink. Coming off a pretty nasty illness that had her in hospital and off the floor for their round 1 game, Brink returned in style for this match against Ole Miss. Her 20-point double-double was a standout performance from a disappointing Stanford team effort, and her defensive prowess in the paint was really the only thing keeping the Cardinal in touch with Ole Miss. Like here, She absolutely shuts down the Ole Miss player on 3 straight shot attempts, sending all of them back. That's a genuinely ridiculous play, and had Stanford not lost, would arguably be play of the night. Brink finished tonight with 7 blocks. 7. That is absurd, and deserves a serious amount of respect, whether you rate Stanford or not. Brink's defensive positioning and timing is easily some of the best in the country. Like, it's genuinely ridiculous how well she's able to recover and make plays on that end. After going down 13, it's what helped Stanford get back in the game. Brink simply carried this team tonight. On offense, she was just as dominant as well, regularly drawing trips to the stripe. Or like here in the post, she uses her length and skilled footwork to move into an advantageous position over her smaller defender, finishing with a great soft touch around the rim. If she had some more plays properly run for her down the stretch of the game, who knows, maybe the outcome of this game is different, but that's not how things went. The focus here should obviously be on the brilliant play of Ole Miss and their game plan to take down the number 1 seed Stanford. But I did just want to highlight Brink's great play in this game too, because despite the rough loss, she was excellent, and that should not go unnoticed. Okay, let's get into what you're probably all here for. How did Stanford blow this game against someone they really should have been expected to beat comfortably? Well, in my opinion, there just wasn't enough plays being run by Stanford in the half court. Sure, running out in transition makes sense, especially when you're blocking shots at the rate the Cardinal were. But when Stanford actually slowed the game down and got into their sets, which got Brink and Jones into the post for example, their offense was so much better. Another issue I had with this game from Stanford was how they didn't really look to give Brink the ball down the stretch, despite her being inarguably their best threat to score the ball, or at the very least, draw a foul. Ole Miss had extended their lead to 13 points, but Stanford tied it up in the 4th because of Brink and her involvement in actions like this one. So I really don't understand why in the last 2 minutes of the game, Brink really only got one real chance to be involved in the offense and take advantage of her mismatch. And what's crazy is she drew free throws on that play and knocked both down to tie the game up. Sure, the defensive game plan from Stanford and Tara Vanderveer was excellent today, but then just winging it on the other end just makes no sense to me, especially against such a tough defensive team like Ole Miss. The lack of creation out of half-court sets, particularly in the final term, was a bit alarming, and it's why I'm very disappointed in the coaching effort from Tara Vanderveer today. She sold this game big time. With the talent that Stanford have, they should have been doing a lot more. And again, while the credit should go to Ole Miss for their defensive game plan, there were still clearly ways Stanford could take control of the game. And unfortunately, they missed those opportunities. Anyway, that's really all I've got to say about the Stanford Ole Miss game today. Essentially, some great shooting from the Ole Miss guards, such as Davis, Baker, and Thompson, broke the game open for the Rebels despite Stanford's best defensive effort, and the Rebels' excellent defense themselves nailed the door shut on Stanford, though the Cardinal didn't give themselves any help as well. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this game down in the comments below, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the tournament so far as well. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe, but with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.